Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Brian Life, and I'm going to give you a quick, hopefully quick tutorial on some custom ways to make vignettes. I found out about 5 different ways. So, a lot of times vignettes can be thick shapes that come from the outside, and they could be circular and they could be rectangular. But some people don't know how to actually control them to make them thin, so there's only just a little bit of a thick, sorry, a little bit of a black fade away, or even how to make it textured so it's gritty and textury as it breaks away. Say if you're going to get something printed, you may want it to fade off to black. But a lot of times people have it thick, um, and I will show you an example. The reason why I even felt like making this video is to help out my buddy who utilized one of Photoshop's, I think it's kind of like their custom vignette tool, and it's inside of the camera raw filter. We'll get to that later at the end. And it's a little bit restrictive as far as the thickness and the way that it fades and blurs into the art, into the canvas. So I wanted to show you a way that you can manipulate it and have more custom control. So I have a few layers going on here, uh, and some of them have vignettes on, some of them don't. Okay, so this is just a little canvas that I made, right? Just started making some brush strokes just so we have something to work with, blah, 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 blah. Nothing too fancy, nothing too amazing. Right. So I'm going to save that and close it. And now back to our first document, you can see that that just got updated because that's what smart objects are. They're basically a document contained within your big document. Okay, so anyway, this is not going to be a basics tutorial, the foundation of Photoshop, but I'm going to try to keep this intermediate and stick to what we're talking about. So one way to make a vignette, right, is to add a layer, right? So I'll just do that from the start. I'm going to go on top of this green, and so I click the plus button. Now I have a layer, grab the selection tool, pick the color black, and you could go Control A to select everything, or you could take the selection tool and go into the corner, okay? So this is one way on a brand new layer. This is the old way. You would make a stroke, an inside stroke. So the default is set to outside. You would set it to inside. You would set the amount of pixels, how thick you want the stroke to be. Let's just go 60. Normal. Okay. So now you make a big stroke, and then you would go to filter and then blur, Gaussian blur. And you would basically just blur that black stroke, and then now you have a vignette. That's a manual way of making a vignette, but it is destructive. And once that's done, those pixels are permanent, and there's no way to go back. There's no way to change it. There's no way to change the corners so they're rounded. So there's a radius, like a nice, cool, rounded radius, unless you go through all those steps again. So another way of doing it is to create a layer. This is another option that I have up here, but I'm going to first just show you. So you would just Control A if you're on a Mac or PC. Again, this isn't a basics tutorial on Photoshop, but I just want you to basically fill the layer. So how I did with that was I Control A and then I press Option Delete, and it'll fill it with whatever is the foreground color. If I press Control Delete, it's going to fill it with the background color. So Option Delete, now I have a layer with solid black. Create a vector mask, not a regular bitmap mask, but a vector mask. I'm going to hide all. So now there's a vector mask on this black layer. That's why we see the green underneath, right? Or the artwork if we wanted to, but I just think it's too loud. So I'm just going to keep it simple with this green. So now it's hidden. The black is hidden. So we would want to make a vector shape, okay? And we want to make sure that this setting up here is set to shape. Set to path, not set to shape. If it's set to shape, it's going to make a shape right on top. Boom. And it jumped out and we lost all that. So we don't want that. What we want is a path. And we want to make sure we're inside of the mask. We click on the mask. We're on this layer. We click on the mask. Okay. And it's also properties. You do want to open up the properties palette, which is in window down here. Where is properties? This, right? We're going to use that soon. So again, we're back in the vector shape. We have the vector mask. It's hiding everything right now. We're going to make a rectangle shape inside here. Since we're inside this mask, it made the shape inside the mask. You see? So now it's hiding the outside and it's revealing the green underneath. And that's the beginning stages of making a non-destructive vignette. Something that we can edit. We can edit the feathering and the blur of the vignette. What's nice about that, if we have this properties palette open and we click on the mask, the vector mask, okay, and if you can't find that, you're not in masks, you're inside of the shape, which is also pretty amazing. So since this is a rectangular live active shape, we can change the radius of the corners. We can make it very curved. We can make it very sharp. Okay. But when you click on the mask part of the vector shape, you can feather it. And this is where I'm going to click Command H to hide. Where else to hide things? Again, this is not a tutorial on all the basics of Photoshop. But basically, I have it set up as a key command to hide all the extras. View extras, Command H, I set up a key command. So basically, it's just hiding these things. So you could see it, right? So again, on the vector mask, if I click on the mask, I can hit feather. I could change the feather radius. Isn't that pretty cool? So now, you know, the artwork can have like a pretty cool vignette, you know, very blurry, you know, very dark, you know, and this is with the bitmap shape, like, I mean, a bitmap layer. Okay. Again, I have to select that, feather it. Now, if I click on the layer, but not the vector mask, but I just click on the layer, I can change the color. You know, I can turn it to purple. And I did that by Option Delete. It's taking the foreground color and it's filling this whole layer with Option Delete will fill the layer. Okay. Windows H to hide, and then I could set this mode to multiply. You see, so now the purple is multiplying. It's darkening whatever's underneath, but it's also showing what's underneath a little bit. Difference, you know, there's a lot of different things you could do. Vignettes are pretty cool, like, right? Especially one that is like this, where you can utilize the feathering and you could really kind of get custom, right? So in the case of my buddy's record cover, you know, his was very thick. It was like about 1 inch in, and it was pretty thick, and he really didn't have much control over how much edge is shown. Okay, whereas we have control here. Uh, if I grab the edge and then I hold Option, you know, I could really get close to the frame, to the complete frame of my art, of my canvas, right? I can also always update these radiuses, you know, and I could basically just have a little bit of a fadeaway of black compared to how, you know, his was very thick from the edges. And that brings me to this last way. Oh, all right. So there's one more cool thing that you could do, is I can add another mask inside this layer. Okay, just bear with me. When I click on the mask on the black layer, if I click this plus sign, now it's added a bitmap mask. Okay, this bitmap mask, it's a little different than the vector mask. It's going to utilize paint. So if I want, I can paint out sort of edges, right? This would be easier to see. Textures, basically. So this black is masking out, you know, giving us more, you know, texture basically. I mean, it's a way to kind of give like an organic looking vignette. So this is one way. And if you press, so I have black and white. If you press X, it'll bring back, bring back that. Okay. So that's kind of a way to make sort of a gritty outside vignette. All right. That's a manual way. And then lastly, I'm just going to wrap up this video because this is actually like the third time I've done this. There is a Photoshop version if you, I'm going to utilize the art, right? The only thing though, I do want to come in here and sort of just make this, I'm going to grab the gradient tool. I'm going to make it a little more like monotone, like not so much contrast, basically. Okay, I just use the gradient tool. Save, close that, and then it updates into this file. So I'm going to shut off all the vignettes. So this is another way that you can make a vignette with Photoshop that comes with it. It's like camera raw filter. Actually, it's already a smart object, but how you would if it was not, in filters, they do have convert to smart filters. Convert for smart filters, which would just do the same thing. It would convert it to a smart layer. So now we could use smart filters where there's non-destructive, right? So you go camera raw filter. And now it'll open up like a new room. Inside of this room, there's some different effects, right? So one is vignette, but let me actually cancel out. The vignette seemed to already be turned on. So let me go camera raw filters. I think it's because earlier I was doing it. So there already seems to be a vignette on at the very moment. And I don't know if there's a reset button. I'd like to reset everything. There's a vignette already happening when I first came in here. And pardon me for not knowing how to reset, but it would be nice to just kind of reset. It's pretty cool. You can like see before and after. But yeah, so there's an effect and oh, this is like side by side. So this is just another way to make a vignette. In this area, there is kind of a cool, they do have what I was doing where if I turn down the feathering, you could see they have like the radius on the corners. So what I was doing was the same thing, but it was manually. Okay, and now they kind of have like it all set up in this little packet. And is this back? Okay, cool. So, like I was saying, if I turn down the feathering, you could see kind of the radius. So they have it all in here manually or automatically, and it's pretty cool. And you can do all that stuff that I was showing you the old school way. So this is maybe the best way that you want to go about it. There's some grain that you can add. I think the grain happens all across the board. I do believe it gives the grain on everything. But this is also another way where you could utilize this vignette with the grain. What else? Like clarity, texture. They add like really emphasize and make it cruddy. It's effects with the artwork, not just the vignette, right? Clarity. So this is kind of one way. And what's cool about this is it's just an effect. So it can be, since it was done up here, it's a smart filter. So we could shut off these filters. Oh, there we go. So the old vignette was on. I didn't know, but there was a layer. So now there's two vignettes happening. I was a little confused on why that vignette kept popping up. And I could also bring in this. I could drag this up. You remember that old painted version? I could click on that and I could set it to 50%. I could blur that as well. So there's a lot of cool, creative vignettes that you can make in a combination of the old school way and in a combination with the new camera raw filter. Camera raw filter. And there you go. There's a few ways that you can make vignettes manually and very controlled, also destructively and also non-destructively. And you can really fine tune your vignette to be as precise as you want. You could just have it only teeny little bit coming in. Bring that feathering way down so it's just very close to the edge. Okay. And it's just a very subtle fade away to black. All right, take care. Thanks. I hope you liked it. If you found anything great about it or useful, please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And I'll try to make some more. Peace, Brian Life. I'm out. Thanks for watching.